Hello. Welcome to the Science to Sleep channel. I'm really glad you're here. Tonight we're slowing things down together and drifting through the quiet wonders of the place we call home. Wherever you are right now, let this be a small pause just for you. Let the noise fade a little, let the edges soften, and allow your thoughts to settle, like leaves resting on still water. Tonight, we're staying close to Earth. This planet we walk on every day is far more mysterious, resilient, and surprising than we usually realize. From glowing oceans to jellyfish that seem to outsmart time itself, from ancient forests hidden underground to microscopic creatures that can survive the vacuum of space, Earth is alive in ways that can calm you, surprise you, and quietly shift how you see the world. Some of these facts might stay with you. Others can simply drift past, light and gentle, without asking anything from you. If this kind of calm curiosity brings you comfort or helps you unwind, you can like or subscribe. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, there's nothing you need to do. Get comfortable, take a slow breath, and let's begin this quiet journey through the small miracles of life on Earth. Let's start with a creature that seems to ignore one of nature's strictest rules. In warm coastal waters, from the Mediterranean to oceans around the world, drifts a jellyfish that can, in a sense, live forever. The Turritopsis dohrnii, often called the immortal jellyfish, has an unusual ability. When it's injured, stressed, or growing old, it doesn't simply die. Instead, it rewinds. Its body transforms back into an earlier stage of life, returning to its polyp form, the jellyfish version of childhood, and begins again. This isn't just a theory. Scientists have watched it happen in laboratories. Again and again, the jellyfish completes its life cycle only to reset it. It can keep doing this indefinitely unless it's eaten or destroyed. It doesn't unlock immortality for humans, but it does remind us of something important. Nature's imagination is far bigger than ours. Floating quietly in the sea is a creature that slips backward through time over and over without ceremony. Forests, too, hold secrets that are easy to miss. When you stand among trees, it feels calm and still. But beneath your feet, a quiet conversation is always happening. Trees that were once thought to live alone are actually connected by vast underground networks of fungal threads called mycorrhizae. Through these delicate connections, trees share nutrients, send chemical signals, and warn each other about danger. Older trees, sometimes called mother trees, even support younger ones by passing sugars and resources through this hidden system. A birch may feed a nearby fir. A dying tree may send its last reserves back into the forest. It isn't conscious thought, but it is cooperation on a massive scale. Some scientists call it the wood wide web. In this underground world of roots and fungi, a forest is not a group of individuals. It's a single breathing community. Then there are creatures so small they almost feel unreal. Tardigrades, often called water bears, are microscopic animals less than a millimeter long. Under a microscope, they look like tiny wrinkled gummy bears with 8 legs. Strange as they look, they are among the toughest forms of life we know. They can survive freezing cold, extreme heat, crushing pressure, intense radiation, and even the vacuum of space. In 2007, scientists sent tardigrades into orbit. They came back alive. They survive by entering a state called cryptobiosis, drying themselves out and nearly shutting down their metabolism. They don't die. They wait, sometimes for years. When water returns, they wake up and continue as if nothing happened. Tardigrades quietly remind us that life is far more adaptable, strange, and resilient than we tend to assume. Even the air you're breathing has a dark and surprising past. Today, oxygen keeps us alive. But billions of years ago, it was deadly. Early life on Earth thrived without oxygen. These ancient organisms called anaerobes dominated the planet. Then cyanobacteria appeared, tiny microbes that released oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. Slowly, over millions of years, oxygen built up in the oceans and atmosphere. This event, known as the Great Oxidation Event, was catastrophic for much of early life. Oxygen-damaged cells disrupted ancient metabolisms and caused one of Earth's first mass extinctions. But for other organisms, it opened the door to a new powerful way of producing energy. Complex life eventually followed. In a strange way, every breath you take carries the legacy of that ancient collapse and rebirth. Oxygen doesn't just sustain life, it remembers where life has been. Plants, too, can surprise us. We often think of them as passive and peaceful, quietly growing toward the sun. But some plants hunt. Carnivorous plants like Venus flytraps, pitcher plants, and sundews lure insects with sweet scents or sticky nectar. A Venus flytrap even counts how many times its trigger hairs are touched before it closes, making sure the meal is worth the effort. Pitcher plants form deep, slippery chambers filled with digestive enzymes. Sundews curl sticky tentacles around their prey, slowly and patiently. They do this because they live in poor soil, where nutrients like nitrogen are scarce. So they adapt. Not with speed or strength, but with clever design and patience. These quiet predators remind us that survival doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Even a single leaf is more complex than it seems. Hold one up to the light and you'll see a delicate network of veins, like rivers branching across a map. These veins carry water, minerals, and sugars, powering photosynthesis. Tiny pores on the surface open and close, allowing gases to flow in and out. Chlorophyll captures sunlight and turns it into energy, not just for the plant, but for almost all life on Earth. Some leaves track the sun, others repel water, trap insects, or store heat. No two are exactly alike. Each one is a small, fragile machine, quietly doing its work, alive with purpose. And sometimes even the ocean seems to glow. On certain nights along quiet shores, waves break into soft blue-green light. This glow comes from bioluminescent plankton. When disturbed, they emit light through a chemical reaction inside their bodies. It's the same kind of cold light used by fireflies. In places like Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico, entire coastlines can shimmer. No electricity, no magic, just life responding to motion. In the dark water, the ocean reminds us that even in places that seem empty or black, life finds a way to shine. You might feel like a single, separate person. But your body tells a different story. You are home to trillions of microorganisms. Bacteria, fungi, viruses, and archaea live on your skin, in your mouth, and throughout your gut. Together, they form your microbiome. These microbes help digest your food, train your immune system, produce vitamins, and even influence your mood. They are not passengers, they are partners. Your body is less a solo act and more a small ecosystem, a world within a world. And just like fingerprints, no two microbiomes are exactly the same. Some of the most impressive teamwork on Earth belongs to ants. In the forest of South America, army ants move like living rivers across the jungle floor. When they reach a gap, they don't stop. They build a bridge out of themselves. One ant anchors, another climbs on, then another, until a living structure forms. Thousands of ants may link together, adjusting constantly as others cross. When the colony moves on, the bridge simply dissolves and the ants continue their march. No leader gives orders. Each ant responds locally, following simple rules. Together they create something remarkable. And in the deep ocean, octopuses drift through the dark like something imagined rather than evolved. They are already known for their intelligence, but their biology holds another surprise. Octopuses can edit their own RNA, the instructions that turn DNA into proteins. While most animals stick closely to their genetic script, octopuses can adjust how certain genes are expressed, fine-tuning their nervous system and responses to their environment. It's not changing DNA itself, but it gives them an unusual flexibility. We still don't fully understand why they do this. It only adds to the feeling that octopuses belong to a different kind of world altogether. And finally, there's self-recognition. Most animals can see their reflection. Very few seem to understand it's themselves. This ability is rare in nature, and when it appears, it hints at a deep, quiet awareness. For now, you don't need to think too hard about any of this. Let the facts settle where they want to. The world is full of strange, beautiful systems quietly unfolding all around you, whether you're watching or not. And tonight it's enough to simply rest inside that thought. Self-awareness is often treated like a high-level achievement, almost a badge of intelligence. One way scientists look for it is the mirror test. An animal is marked with a spot it can't see without a reflection. If it notices the mark while looking in a mirror and tries to touch or inspect it, that suggests it understands the reflection is itself. So far, only a small group has passed. Great apes, dolphins, elephants, magpies, and maybe manta rays. Even some fish show hints of mirror awareness. This doesn't mean they think like us, but it does suggest something important. Awareness might not belong to humans alone. That sense of me could flicker in minds shaped very differently from ours. And maybe the line between self and other isn't as sharp as we once thought. Life on Earth has already survived 5 mass extinctions. That fact alone should humble us. Over the last 500 million years, our planet has been reset again and again. Each extinction wiped out most species alive at the time. The worst one, the Permian extinction, erased more than 90% of marine life and most land species. Volcanoes, asteroids, climate collapse. Different causes, same result. And yet, every time, life returned. Not the same life, but new forms built from the remnants of the old. Ecosystems rewired themselves. Small, overlooked survivors became the ancestors of everything that followed. Life doesn't just hang on, it adapts, experiments, and keeps going. We exist because something fragile survived the impossible, over and over again. In forests, there are fungi that can take over an insect's behavior. It sounds unreal, but it's happening constantly. Certain fungi infect ants and other insects, slowly spreading through their bodies. Once inside, they release chemicals that hijack the nervous system. The insect climbs to a precise height, bites down on a leaf or branch, and stops moving. Then the fungus kills it and grows out of the body, releasing spores onto the forest floor below. It's brutal, but incredibly precise. Scientists still don't fully understand how the fungus controls behavior so accurately. The forest may look calm and green, but beneath that surface is a constant, silent war. Blue feels common to us. The sky, the ocean, butterfly wings. But in nature, true blue pigment is actually rare. Most blue animals don't produce blue at all. Their color comes from structure. Microscopic patterns bend and scatter light, so that only blue wavelengths reflect back. It's called structural coloration. No dye, just physics. Real blue pigments are chemically difficult to make, so very few organisms manage it. That means most of the blue we see in nature is a visual trick. light interacting with tiny biological architecture. You're not just seeing color, you're watching physics and biology collide. Elephants grieve. When they encounter the bones of a dead companion, they slow down. They touch them gently with their trunks. They stay. Some return to the same remains years later. Others stand by dying herd members, refusing to leave. Their grief isn't human grief, but it's clearly something real. They remember, they bond, and they carry loss. It's a quiet reminder that emotions didn't suddenly appear with us. Empathy and attachment run deeper in the animal world than we like to admit. Coral reefs look like rock, but they're built by animals. Each coral is a colony of tiny polyps, soft-bodied creatures that feed with stinging tentacles. As they live, they secrete calcium carbonate, slowly building hard skeletons beneath them. Over thousands of years, these skeletons stack and spread, forming reefs that stretch for miles, and inside those reefs, life explodes. Fish, crustaceans, mollusks, turtles. Despite covering less than 1% of the ocean floor, reefs support nearly a quarter of all marine species, entire cities of life, built grain by creatures you almost never see. Slime molds don't have brains, they don't have nerves, and yet they can solve mazes. In experiments, a slime mold is placed in a maze with food at 2 exits. It spreads everywhere, then slowly retracts, leaving only the most efficient path between the food sources. No planning, no thinking, just chemistry, feedback, and time. This kind of intelligence isn't centralized. It's distributed across the organism. Engineers have even used slime molds to model transportation networks. It's a reminder that intelligence doesn't have a single shape, and it doesn't always need a brain. The Amazon rainforest creates its own rain. As sunlight heats the canopy, billions of trees release moisture into the air through transpiration. That vapor rises, cools, forms clouds, and falls again as rain. The forest feeds itself. This cycle helps regulate climate across South America and even affects weather on other continents. When the forest is damaged, the cycle weakens. Rain patterns shift, drought spreads. The Amazon isn't just a forest. It's a living system that breathes water into the sky. Some frogs survive winter by freezing solid. The wood frog can endure being frozen for weeks. Its heart stops, blood freezes. Organs shut down, but antifreeze compounds protect its cells from damage. When temperatures rise, the frog thaws and simply continues living. Scientists study this process to understand tissue preservation and extreme survival. For now, it remains one of nature's strangest tricks. Death paused, then reversed. Whales sing across oceans. Their low-frequency calls can travel thousands of kilometers through water. These songs help them communicate, navigate, and find mates. Different populations have distinct dialects, and some songs change over time, passed between individuals like traditions. We don't fully understand their language, but we know it's intentional. These are messages shared in darkness by creatures that have existed far longer than we have. Seeds can wait. Some remain dormant for decades or centuries. In one case, a 2,000-year-old date palm seed was planted and grew. It had waited through empires and collapse, doing nothing until conditions were right. Seeds are built to endure heat, cold, fire, and time itself. Inside each one is a quiet promise. Life doesn't rush. Sometimes it waits. Bioluminescence has evolved over 40 separate times. Fireflies, glowing plankton, deep-sea fish. These lights are produced by chemical reactions inside living bodies. Different species use them to attract mates, lure prey, scare predators, or disappear in darkness. In the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches, glowing life is everywhere. Light, invented again and again by evolution in the dark. A flickering, drifting constellation of living stars, tiny points of light alive. The chemistry behind it is surprisingly simple. An enzyme called luciferase meets a molecule called luciferin. Energy is released and light appears. No sound, no heat, just glow. What's wild is that life has invented this trick again and again, in caves, in oceans, in forests, in the deepest dark. Different species, same solution. A shared language of light written wherever darkness is thick enough. Your bones are made of stardust. That's not poetry, it's straight up physics. The calcium that holds your skeleton together was forged inside ancient stars. When massive stars reach the end of their lives, they start creating heavier elements through nuclear fusion. Then they explode. Supernovas scatter those elements across space. Over time, dust clouds form, gravity pulls them together, planets take shape, oceans appear. On one small blue world, life begins. The carbon, iron, oxygen, calcium in your body all come from those long-dead stars. You're not just in the universe. You're the universe, rearranged into something that can breathe, think, and wonder. Some insects can see ultraviolet light. When you look at a flower, you see colors you recognize. Yellow, red, blue. But to a bee, that same flower looks completely different. Petals glow with hidden patterns, bright landing zones, glowing arrows pointing straight to nectar. These designs aren't decorative, they're practical. The bee gets food, the flower gets pollinated, everyone wins. Other insects use UV vision to navigate, find mates, or avoid danger. We share the same planet, but not the same visual reality. There's a whole layer of light around us we'll never experience. Kangaroos can pause pregnancy, literally hit pause on development. In the Australian outback, where conditions can turn harsh fast, this ability matters. If food is scarce or a joey is already in the pouch, a mother kangaroo can delay the growth of a fertilized egg. This is called embryonic diapause. She can be nursing one joey, carrying another, and holding a third in reserve. When conditions improve, development resumes. It's survival planning built into biology. Time controlled from the inside. Some fish can change sex. In coral reefs, identity isn't fixed. Clownfish live in strict hierarchies. The largest fish is female. If she dies, the dominant male becomes female. Not symbolically, physically. Hormones shift, organs change. In other species, females become males when needed. These changes keep reproduction going when social structures shift. In the ocean, flexibility isn't optional, it's survival. Birds can feel Earth's magnetic field. Every year they cross oceans and continents and somehow find their way back to the same place. Part of that ability comes from magnetoception. Some birds have magnetite crystals in their bodies. Others may literally see magnetic fields as visual patterns. They combine this sense with the sun, stars, and landscape. It's an invisible map embedded in their nervous system. We don't fully understand it yet, but it works. Earth breathes through the carbon cycle. Carbon moves through air, oceans, plants, animals, rocks. You breathe out carbon dioxide. Plants breathe it in. Animals eat plants. Decomposers break everything down. Volcanoes release carbon. Oceans store it. Some becomes stone. Some stays in the air. This cycle regulates climate and sustains life over millions of years. Right now it's out of balance, but understanding it reminds us that Earth isn't static. It's active, breathing, changing. Before plants, before animals, before oxygen, there were bacteria. and some of them built the planet. Stromatolites are rock-like structures formed by ancient cyanobacteria. Layer by layer, they trapped sediment and released oxygen. Fossils date back over 3.5 billion years. These microbes reshaped Earth's atmosphere, making complex life possible. Some stromatolites are still alive today, silent ancient builders still doing their thing. Dolphins have names for each other. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle. Others learn it, remember it, use it. When researchers played a dolphin its own whistle, it responded the way a human reacts to hearing their name. That's not random sound, it's identity. Dolphins live in shifting social groups, and names help keep track of relationships. Language roots run deeper than we thought. The Sahara wasn't always a desert. Around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, it was green. Rivers, lakes, grasslands, elephants, crocodiles, humans. Cave paintings still show it. Orbital shifts changed monsoon patterns. Rain stopped. The desert returned. Beneath the sand, the old world is still there. Fossil rivers, ancient soil. The Sahara isn't just empty, it remembers. Bees understand zero. In experiments, bees chose an empty card over cards with shapes. None is less than some, that's abstract thinking. Only a few animals show this ability. Bees do it with brains the size of a grain of rice. Intelligence doesn't scale the way we think it does. Wolves reshaped rivers. When wolves returned to Yellowstone, deer behavior changed. Plants recovered, riverbanks stabilized, water flow shifted. A trophic cascade. One species doing what it naturally does changed an entire landscape. Everything is connected, always was. Flowers can hear bees. And that's where it gets even stranger. Research has shown that some plants respond to the sound of a bee's buzz. When a pollinator gets close, the vibration of its wings is enough to trigger a change. Within minutes, the flower produces sweeter nectar. The plant doesn't have ears, obviously, but its petals vibrate in response to specific sound frequencies, almost like sensory organs tuned to the right signal. It's perfect timing. The reward gets better exactly when the bee arrives, a quiet exchange. The bee announces itself, the flower responds. No nerves, no brain, yet real-time awareness. The garden isn't silent at all. It's full of soft humming conversations. Listens are two lives sharing one body. You see them everywhere once you start looking. On rocks, tree bark, old walls. Flat, crusty patches that seem simple, almost forgettable. But each lichen is actually a partnership. A fungus teamed up with an alga or a cyanobacterium. The fungus provides structure and protection. The photosynthetic partner makes food from sunlight. Alone, neither would survive in extreme places. Together, they thrive. Arctic cold, desert heat, bare stone. It's not always a fair relationship. The fungus often controls the terms, but the result is resilience. Lichens slowly break down rock into soil, feed animals, and help ecosystems take root. Two species, one existence, a quiet agreement written across the surface of the world. Water bears might outlast almost everything. They're microscopic, squishy, and oddly adorable. Tardigrades don't look like survivors of the apocalypse, but they might be. They can handle freezing, boiling, radiation, crushing pressure, and total dehydration. You'll find them on mountaintops, in deep oceans, and locked inside ice. When conditions turn bad, they curl into a dormant state called a ton, life on pause. In this form, they can survive for decades, maybe longer. Some scientists think tardigrades could make it through mass extinctions that wipe out larger life entirely. They're not immortal, just incredibly prepared. Tiny, patient, and always ready to start again. Naked mole rats don't age the way other mammals do. They look strange, wrinkled, and pink, living their lives underground. But biologically, they're fascinating. Unlike most animals, their risk of death doesn't rise sharply with age. They resist cancer, tolerate low oxygen, and can live over 30 years, an absurd lifespan for a rodent. Their cells stay stable, their proteins resist damage. A young mole rat and an old one look almost the same on the inside. They live in complex colonies with a single breeding queen, more like insects than mammals. Scientists study them for clues about aging, cancer resistance, and survival under stress. Beneath the ground, these quiet creatures carry secrets we're still trying to understand. Your body is made of about 30 trillion cells, stardust, stories, and a massive microscopic workforce. Every movement, every thought, every breath is the result of countless tiny jobs happening at once. Muscle cells pull, neurons fire. Blood cells carry oxygen. Immune cells stand guard. Cells die and are replaced constantly. You rebuild yourself piece by piece without noticing. You're not one solid thing. You're a living system, a community that somehow stays in sync. Even now, as you rest, millions of cells are quietly keeping everything running. You are not singular. You are coordinated. Some parrots can outthink a toddler. Bright feathers, loud voices, playful behavior. But behind that is serious intelligence. Species like the African gray can count, recognize shapes and colors, understand concepts like same and different, and even grasp zero. One famous parrot, Alex, could ask for objects, express frustration, and answer complex questions. In many tasks, he performed at the level of a human child. In the wild, parrots use this intelligence to solve problems, manage social relationships, and even use tools. Their brains are built differently than ours. But evolution found another route to thinking. When a parrot talks, it's not just copying sounds. There's thought behind it. Most of Earth's life lives in the ocean. We walk on land and look to the sky, but the sea holds the majority of living biomass on this planet. It covers over 70% of Earth's surface and supports life at every scale. Microscopic plankton, towering kelp forests, glowing jellyfish, giant whales, coral reefs, open water, deep trenches. Even a single drop of seawater can contain thousands of organisms. We've explored only a small fraction of the deep ocean. Much of it remains unknown, dark and alive. The greatest wilderness on Earth isn't green, it's blue. The oldest living organism on Earth might be a forest. In Utah, there's a grove of quaking aspens that looks ordinary at first, but underground, they're all connected. This organism, called Pando, is a single clonal colony. Every trunk shares the same root system and the same DNA. It may be over 80,000 years old. Individual trees die and regrow, but the organism itself endures. Ice ages passed. Storms came and went. Pando stayed. A forest that is also one being. Ancient, quiet, and still reaching for the sky. Some viruses are actually helpful. We usually think of viruses as enemies, illness, infection. But many viruses play important roles in life. Some attack harmful bacteria in our gut, helping keep balance. Others influence gene expression or help cells adapt to stress. Nearly 8% of the human genome comes from ancient viral DNA. Some of those viral genes are essential, involved in reproduction and brain development. Viruses aren't just invaders, they're part of our history. Tiny contributors woven into who we are. Sharks existed before trees. Sharks have been around for over 400 million years. Trees appeared about 50 million years later. That means sharks were swimming Earth's oceans before forests existed. They survived 5 mass extinctions, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Their body plan barely changed because it works. Today's sharks range from massive whale sharks to glowing deep-sea species, all carrying the same ancient blueprint. Each slow glide through the water is shaped by deep time. Rainforests make their own clouds. Trees pull water from the soil and release it through their leaves. That moisture rises, cools, and becomes clouds. In places like the Amazon, this cycle helps maintain rainfall across entire regions. A healthy forest supports its own climate, but when trees are lost, the system weakens. Less moisture, fewer clouds, less rain. Rainforests aren't passive. They're atmospheric engines breathing water into the sky. Stand beneath the canopy and you're standing inside the lungs of a continent. Some crabs wear living armor. Decorator crabs collect algae, seaweed, and even live sponges and attach them to their shells. The materials keep growing as the crab moves. This camouflage hides them from predators and sometimes provides chemical protection. The sponge might taste bad or release toxins. It's not quite partnership, not quite theft. More like clever borrowing. A moving reef. A creature that turns disguise into strategy. In the shallow water, survival becomes art, and insects, they outnumber us by billions to 1. The world really belongs to insects. For every single human on Earth, there are roughly 200 million insects sharing the planet with us. They're everywhere. Rainforest canopies, frozen tundra, desert sand, ocean shores. Beetles alone make up nearly 1/4 of all known animal species. Insects pollinate our crops, recycle nutrients, break down waste, and feed countless other creatures. They've been around for over 400 million years and have survived every mass extinction so far. Some live only minutes, others last for years. They build cities, wage wars, and farm food. Their societies can be surprisingly complex, their adaptations nearly endless. Small, yes, but powerful. We might think we run the world, but insects were here long before us, and odds are they'll still be here long after we're gone. Birds of paradise turn courtship into performance art. Deep in the rainforests of New Guinea and nearby islands, these birds put on displays that feel almost unreal. Feathers shimmer in metallic blues, fiery oranges, and deep velvet blacks. Some grow long plumes like streamers, others unfurl fans or bounce on thin tail wires. But beauty is only part of it. Each species performs a precise dance. Hops, spins, bows, pauses, all paired with clicks, whistles, and wing flicks. Females watch carefully, choosing mates based on performance alone. This intense selection has pushed evolution to its most extravagant edge. Every movement tells a story of patience, practice, and pure biological creativity. Here, evolution doesn't whisper, it shows off. Spiders spin silk stronger than steel. In quiet corners of gardens, trees, and old buildings, spiders create one of nature's most remarkable materials. Spider silk, drawn from their bodies in delicate threads, is incredibly strong. Pound for pound, it outperforms steel and stretches without snapping. It absorbs energy, forms webs, nets, and egg sacs, and does it all with microscopic precision. Different spiders make different silks. Sticky, smooth, tough, elastic. Some even spin silk underwater or while drifting through the air. Scientists study it for medical sutures and advanced materials, but the spider just spins, quietly building masterpieces thread by thread. Fireflies speak in light. On warm summer nights, darkness flickers with soft flashes as fireflies communicate. Each species has its own rhythm, its own code. Males fly and blink in specific patterns. Females reply from the grass or trees with perfectly timed signals. It's courtship written in light. Inside their bodies, chemicals like luciferin and oxygen react to produce a glow with almost no heat. Cold light, clean and precise. But it's not just romance. For some species, the glow is a warning. Bitter taste, mild toxicity, beauty and defense in the same signal, a language of light drifting through the dark. Some monkeys practice medicine. In forests across Africa and South America, certain primates don't just eat plants, they use them. Chimpanzees and other monkeys have been observed seeking out specific bitter plants when sick or injured. They chew tough stems, swallow rough leaves whole, or rub substances onto wounds. Many of these plants have antibacterial or antiparasitic effects. Chimpanzees with intestinal worms, for example, often eat leaves that help flush them out. They don't do this casually, only when they need to. This behavior, known as animal self-medication, challenges the idea that healing knowledge belongs only to humans. Somewhere between instinct and learning, this quiet wisdom already exists. Most of the oxygen you breathe comes from algae. Trees get the credit, but the ocean does the heavy lifting. Tiny organisms called phytoplankton float near the surface of the sea, photosynthesizing just like plants. They take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Despite their size, they produce more than half of Earth's breathable oxygen. They're the base of marine food webs and a major driver of global climate. Sensitive to temperature, currents, and nutrients, phytoplankton respond quickly to change. You don't see them, but they're always there. With every breath, the ocean breathes with you. Crows think ahead. These birds don't just react, they plan. Members of the corvid family have been seen saving tools for later, hiding food strategically, and even trading objects for rewards. In experiments, crows will choose a smaller reward now if it means a better one later. They bend wires into hooks, understand cause and effect, and remember faces, sometimes holding grudges for years. Their intelligence rivals that of great apes despite their small brains. They don't just live in the moment, they think about what comes next. Quiet minds behind dark feathers, always watching. Some snakes see heat. For certain snakes, vision goes beyond light. Pit vipers, boas, and pythons have special heat-sensing organs on their faces that detect infrared radiation. This lets them see the warmth of prey, even in total darkness. What they perceive isn't color or shape, but a thermal map. Warm bodies glowing against cooler surroundings. It gives them incredible accuracy during nighttime hunts. Not magic, just physics, deeply embedded into biology. Another reminder that every species experiences the world differently. The Arctic tundra explodes into life. For most of the year it lies frozen and silent, but when summer arrives, short and urgent, everything happens at once. The soil softens, the sun barely sets, flowers bloom almost overnight, pollinators rush in, birds nest, mammals raise their young. All of it must happen in a window that might last only weeks. It's not gradual, it's a race. A sudden burst of color and life before winter returns. The tundra waits patiently, then moves fast. There is a fungus that turns ants into zombies. In tropical forests, a parasitic fungus called Ophiocordyceps infects ants and takes over their behavior. Once inside, it drives the ant away from its colony, up a plant stem, and forces it to clamp down on a leaf. There it dies. Then the fungus grows a stalk from the ant's body and releases spores to infect others. It sounds unreal, but it's biology refined over millions of years. Beautiful, unsettling, and precise. Proof that nature isn't always gentle. Sea cucumbers can liquefy themselves. They don't look impressive at first glance, just soft shapes on the ocean floor. But when threatened, sea cucumbers can change the stiffness of their bodies in seconds. Solid to jelly. Flowing into cracks, then firm again. Some species can even eject internal organs to distract predators, later regenerating them completely. No bones, no rush, just adaptation. Soft survival in slow motion. Ice fish have antifreeze in their blood. In Antarctic waters cold enough to freeze most animals solid, ice fish survive with chemistry. Special antifreeze proteins bind to ice crystals and stop them from growing. Their blood is pale and almost clear, lacking red blood cells and hemoglobin. Oxygen simply dissolves directly into their plasma. They move slowly through freezing seas, living where almost nothing else can. Strange, quiet creatures shaped by extreme cold. Living proof that life finds ways, even at the edge of possibility. Beneath the Antarctic ice, in a silence that feels endless, the ice fish drifts along. Its blood is soft, almost ghost-like, built for cold in a way few creatures are. No antifreeze machines, no tricks, just evolution doing its quiet work. From the outside, a termite mound looks like nothing special, just dirt piled up. But inside, it's a living city. Some of these structures rise over 30 feet high and shelter millions of termites in layered chambers and tunnels. The real magic is the airflow. Termites build their mounds to control temperature using convection. Warm air escapes through vents at the top. Cooler air is pulled in from below. No blueprints, no planners, just instinct, repetition, and cooperation. A fully functioning climate system, running without power, buried right under our feet. It sounds like a myth, but it's real. Some lizards can shoot blood from their eyes. The horned lizard, found in parts of North America, uses this bizarre defense when threatened. By increasing pressure in tiny blood vessels near its eyes, it ruptures them on purpose. A thin stream of blood sprays out, tasting foul to predators like dogs or coyotes. It's shocking enough to buy the lizard a moment to escape. The vessels heal quickly. Extreme? Sure. But in nature, survival doesn't care how strange the solution looks. Long before forests or fish, before eyes or bones, life began in darkness. Deep in Earth's ancient oceans, hydrothermal vents released mineral-rich water into crushing pressure and scalding heat. No sunlight, no comfort. And yet life took hold. Simple, single-celled organisms fed on chemicals instead of light, using chemosynthesis as one of the first metabolisms on the planet. Even today, these deep-sea vents support strange life forms that thrive without the sun. Some scientists think similar environments on moons like Europa or Enceladus could host life too. If life starts there, it may begin the same way. Quietly, in the dark. Born from stone and heat, on the seafloor a starfish moves slowly, almost absent-mindedly. If a predator tears away one of its arms, it doesn't panic, it regrows it. Some species can regenerate an entire body from a single arm, as long as part of the central disc remains. There's no brain, just a nerve ring and a network of signals spread throughout the body. Growth is slow, patient, deliberate. Scientists study starfish to understand healing and regeneration, even in humans. Down there, among sand and coral, the starfish offers a simple lesson. Damage doesn't always mean the end. The platypus feels like nature testing ideas out loud. It has a duck-like bill, webbed feet, and a beaver's tail. It lays eggs, yet feeds its young milk. One of only 5 monotremes. It's a mammal that doesn't quite follow mammal rules. Platypuses don't have nipples. Milk seeps through pores in the skin, and the babies lap it from the fur. Males carry venomous spurs. They hunt underwater with eyes closed, sensing electrical signals instead. Everything about them sounds made up, and yet they've been paddling through Australian streams for millions of years. Odd, ancient, and perfectly real. When night falls, bats take over the sky. They don't rely on sight the way we do. They use sound. High-frequency calls bounce off the world and return as echoes, forming a detailed map of space. With that, a bat can catch a mosquito midair or fly through dense forest without touching a branch. They don't see darkness. They hear shape, distance, and motion. In that echo-filled world, the night isn't empty at all. In the sunny swamps of the Carolinas, a plant waits. The Venus flytrap doesn't move much, but when it does, it's precise. One touch means nothing. 2 touches within about 20 seconds and the trap snaps shut. It's not reacting blindly, it's counting. This delay helps it avoid wasting energy on raindrops or debris. Only real, struggling prey triggers the full response. A plant that measures movement, waits, and then acts. No brain, no thought, just timing. On the rocky shores of Antarctica, penguins court each other with stones. A male carefully selects a smooth pebble and offers it to a female. If she accepts, it becomes part of their nest. Stone by stone, they build a place to protect their eggs from cold and melting snow. Good pebbles are valuable, sometimes even stolen. But the gesture matters. In a frozen world, love arrives quietly, carried in a small piece of rock. High above the ocean, some birds sleep while flying. Frigate birds and alpine swifts can stay in the air for days or weeks without landing. They rest by sleeping with only half their brain at a time. One side stays alert enough to guide flight, the other drifts into sleep. It's not deep rest, but it's enough. Suspended in wind, moving and resting at once, they blur the line between motion and stillness. Inside your skull, everything you are runs on tiny electrical sparks. Thoughts, memories, emotions all begin as signals jumping between neurons. About 86 billion of them, each forming thousands of connections. This isn't electricity like a wire, it's biological. Ions flowing through channels, chemicals shifting balance. Even when you sleep, your brain hums quietly, waves of activity rolling beneath the surface. You are powered by flickers, small, constant, alive. Cuttlefish are experts at disappearing. In an instant, they can change color, pattern, and even texture, blending perfectly with their surroundings. They do this using specialized skin cells that expand and contract to create shifting designs. The strange part? They're colorblind. Somehow, they still match their environment with stunning accuracy, using brightness, contrast, and polarization. They don't just hide, they communicate, hunt, and play through these changes. One body, endless versions. On certain nights under a full moon, coral reefs release life all at once. Eggs and sperm flood the water in synchronized spawning events timed to the lunar cycle. The moon's light and gravity cue corals across entire reefs to act together. For a brief moment, the ocean fills with drifting potential. A silent explosion of beginnings. Even creatures rooted to stone move in rhythm with the sky. Frogs don't chew. Instead, they blink their food down. When a frog catches prey, it pulls its eyes inward, pressing them into the skull. This helps push food toward the throat. It looks strange, but it works. In nature, efficiency often looks weird up close. Sometimes you can actually see it happen. A slow blink, a gentle squeeze, and the meal slides down. No drama, just efficiency. It's a perfect example of how evolution reuses what's already there. No extra parts, no fancy upgrades. In frogs, even eyesight gets reassigned. A blink that's more than a blink. A quiet push from behind the eyes, doing its job without asking for attention. Plants, it turns out, don't suffer quietly either. When a caterpillar starts chewing on a leaf, some plants release warning chemicals into the air. Nearby plants pick up the signal and prepare themselves, making their leaves taste bitter, tougher, or even toxic. It's a chemical conversation, invisible to us but very real to them. And it's specific. A tomato plant reacts differently to an insect bite than to a fungal infection. Some scientists think this evolved to protect related plants like offspring growing nearby. So the next time you walk through a forest or garden, remember it's not silent. It's buzzing with messages. Leaf to leaf. Root to root. Some trees don't just live long lives. They keep becoming themselves. In places like Utah or Scandinavia, certain trees like quaking aspens clone themselves underground. One root system sends up countless trunks, each looking like a separate tree, but all part of the same organism. One famous colony called Pando is estimated to be over 80,000 years old. That means it started growing when mammoths still walked the earth. Individual trunks die, but the organism continues, quietly replacing itself again and again. A forest that is also one being, ancient, patient, and stubbornly alive. Beneath your feet, earthworms are doing work most of us never notice. Blind, silent, and unassuming, they tunnel through soil, creating space for air, water, and roots. They eat decaying matter and return it to the earth as nutrient-rich castings, building healthy soil from the inside out. Their movement mixes minerals and organic material, shaping the ground that forests and farms depend on. Charles Darwin once suggested, few animals have influenced the planet as much as earthworms. Quiet laborers, rewriting landscapes one tunnel at a time. Giraffes don't sleep much. Standing tall on the open savanna makes deep rest risky. Most giraffes sleep just 30 minutes to 2 hours a day, often in short bursts. Sometimes they lie down, curling their long necks back briefly, but often they rest standing up. Someone in the group usually stays alert. Despite this minimal sleep, giraffes remain active, social, and surprisingly gentle. Scientists still aren't entirely sure how they manage on so little rest. Somehow their bodies make it work. Under open skies, they dream quickly, then wake. Plastic was once thought to last forever, but life, as usual, found a way in. Scientists have discovered microbes that can break down certain plastics, including PET, the kind used in bottles. These bacteria and fungi produce enzymes that slowly digest synthetic materials, turning waste into simpler compounds they can absorb. They've been found in landfills, soil, and even inside insects. It's not fast and it's not a magic fix, but it's a start. Even in the mess we've created, life adapts, finds new food, new niches, new paths forward. In the Arctic, the fox changes with the world. In winter, its fur turns white, blending perfectly with snow and ice. In summer, it shifts to brown or gray, matching rock and tundra. The change helps it hunt and hide, season after season. Its coat is thick enough to withstand temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius. It even grows fur on the soles of its feet. The Arctic fox doesn't fight the environment, it becomes it. Far below the surface, past where sunlight reaches, the ocean feels unreal. The deep sea is cold, dark, and crushing, yet full of life that looks almost alien. Fish with glowing lures, transparent predators, drifting jellyfish, and creatures that survive on chemicals instead of light. Many have oversized mouths, strange shapes, or bioluminescent bodies. We've explored only a tiny fraction of this world, but what we've seen is astonishing. Another planet hiding beneath our own. Tool use isn't just for humans or primates. Some birds are remarkably inventive. Crows shape sticks to pull insects from crevices. New Caledonian crows carefully choose and modify tools. Egyptian vultures use rocks to crack open eggs. Woodpecker finches use twigs like tweezers. These birds don't just stumble onto tools. They select them, adjust them, and sometimes pass the knowledge on. Intelligence doesn't need hands. Sometimes it comes with feathers. Camels are built for scarcity. In deserts across Africa and the Middle East, they move steadily through heat and sand, conserving every drop. They can go weeks without water, then drink enormous amounts in minutes. Their humps don't store water, but fat, which provides energy and releases water when broken down. Their kidneys conserve moisture, their body temperature shifts to reduce sweating, and their blood cells are shaped to keep flowing during dehydration. Every detail serves endurance. They don't just survive harsh environments, they belong to them. Before a chick ever cracks its shell, it speaks. Inside the egg, baby chicks chirp softly, sending signals to their mother and even to their unhatched siblings. The hen responds, sometimes turning the eggs or clucking back. This early exchange helps synchronize hatching and prepare the chick for life outside. The egg isn't quiet. It's full of tiny conversations, rehearsing life before it begins. Some insects face winter by freezing solid. Species like the Arctic woolly bear moth produce special molecules that act like antifreeze, preventing ice crystals from damaging their cells. In this frozen state, their metabolism nearly stops. No movement, no eating, just waiting. When spring arrives, they thaw and continue as if nothing happened. It's not sleep, it's suspended animation. Life paused, then resumed. Polar bears may look white, but beneath their fur, their skin is black. That dark surface absorbs heat from the sun, helping them stay warm in the Arctic cold. Their fur is actually translucent, scattering light while letting warmth reach the skin below. Every layer serves a purpose. Camouflage, insulation, efficiency. Beautiful, yes. But more than that, precise. Jellyfish drift like ghosts through the water, slow and silent. But some of them have a trick that feels almost unreal. Certain species can clone themselves, especially in their early life stages, repeating their own existence again and again. Simple bodies, ancient designs, quietly multiplying in the currents. If a young jellyfish called a polyp is damaged or broken apart, it doesn't necessarily die. Instead, it can regenerate into multiple new individuals. Even adult jellyfish can sometimes bud off new jellyfish from fragments of their own bodies. This isn't reproduction in the usual sense, it's more like replication, a built-in reset button written into their biology. And then there's the immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis doharnii, which can take this even further, reverting back to its youthful state and starting life all over again. Drifting with the tides, jellyfish move between damage and renewal. Soft, ancient, and endlessly patient. In their slow rhythm, life continues through reinvention and quiet persistence. You glow more than you realize. The human body emits a very faint light, a kind of bioluminescence invisible to the naked eye. It's not like the glow of fireflies or deep-sea creatures. It comes from tiny chemical reactions inside our cells, when free radicals interact with fats and proteins. These reactions release small pulses of light, photons slipping quietly into the dark. With ultra-sensitive cameras, scientists have captured this glow and found that it changes throughout the day, peaking in the late afternoon. Faces tend to glow the most, likely because of higher metabolic activity. It's far too dim for our eyes to see, but it's there. Even in sleep, your body hums, it breathes, and yes, it glows. The boundary between water and land isn't as strict as it seems. Some fish can cross it. Mudskippers use strong pectoral fins to walk across mudflats and even climb trees, breathing through their skin and mouth as long as they stay moist. The climbing perch can survive out of water for hours, sometimes days, slowly crawling to new pools. Some eels even slither across wet grass at night in search of better streams. These animals aren't just odd exceptions. They're reminders of an ancient transition, echoes of the moment life first tested land. One fin, one breath, one careful step forward. When floods arrive, fire ants don't panic, they connect. Thousands of ants grip one another with legs and mandibles, forming living rafts that float on the water's surface. These rafts can carry the queen, larvae, and workers to safety. Air trapped between their bodies helps them stay buoyant, and if the structure is disturbed, it reshapes itself instantly. No leader, no blueprint, just simple rules followed by each ant, giving rise to something remarkably resilient. For weeks, these rafts can survive. In chaos, a fragile insect becomes a single floating organism. Dip your fingers into the ocean and you're touching an entire universe. In a single drop of seawater, there can be thousands, sometimes millions, of microscopic organisms. Plankton, algae, bacteria, larvae, viruses, drifting together in a living cloud. Some glow, some feed entire ecosystems. These tiny beings help produce oxygen, regulate climate, and support food webs that reach all the way to whales. We almost never see them, but they're always there. A drop of water, a world. The ocean, made of galaxies. In places that seem completely hostile, life still finds a way. In boiling acidic pools and volcanic springs, microbes called extremophiles thrive. Some live in temperatures above boiling. Others survive in acidity similar to battery acid. They don't rely on sunlight, but on chemicals like sulfur and iron. Their cells are specially built to handle heat and corrosion. These organisms may resemble the earliest life on Earth, and possibly the kind of life we might find elsewhere in the universe. In the harshest conditions, life doesn't retreat. It adapts. It invents. Plants, even in darkness, can calculate. During the day, they store energy as starch. At night, they carefully ration it until dawn. Somehow, plants divide the amount of stored energy by the hours left until sunrise, adjusting their consumption so they don't run out too early or waste what they've saved. It's not math with numbers, but with molecules and signals, quiet, precise, and reliable. Inside every leaf, a plan unfolds. Even without awareness, life prepares. Owls move through the night, almost without sound. Their wings are built for silence. Soft feather edges break up turbulence. Velvety surfaces absorb noise. Even the spacing of feathers is tuned to reduce flight sound. This allows owls to hear the faintest movement of prey below, a mouse under snow, a rustle in leaves. No whoosh, no flutter, just stillness. In darkness, silence becomes power. Some flatworms refuse to stay broken. Cut them into pieces, and each piece can grow into a complete new worm. This is made possible by neoblasts, powerful stem cells that can become any type of tissue, rebuilding muscles, nerves, organs, even a brain. Scientists study them to understand regeneration and healing. In still freshwater pools, the flatworm drifts, divides, and returns whole again. Life, quietly undoing damage. Pigeons notice more than we think. They can recognize individual human faces, remembering who fed them and who didn't, even when clothing changes. Their visual memory is strong enough to distinguish patterns, words, and even artistic styles in lab experiments. In cities, they blend into the background, but they're watching, learning, remembering. You may already be familiar to them. Your DNA carries ancient echoes. About 8% of the human genome comes from ancient viruses that infected our ancestors millions of years ago. Some of that viral DNA has gone silent. Some has been repurposed, now playing roles in brain development and pregnancy. You are not part virus in a scary way, but in a historical one. A record of survival written into your cells. The largest living organism on Earth doesn't move or roar. It grows quietly underground. In Oregon, a massive fungus spreads beneath the forest floor, covering thousands of acres. It may be thousands of years old. Above ground, it appears only as mushrooms. But the true organism lives hidden below, a vast network connecting roots and soil. The world beneath your feet is more alive than it appears. Bees can learn by watching. In experiments, bees observed others solving small tasks, and then repeated the behavior themselves, sometimes even improving it. This kind of learning was once thought to belong only to larger brains. But intelligence, it turns out, comes in many forms. Inside the hive, knowledge spreads quietly. Not through teaching, but through example. Some fish sleep with only half their brain at a time. One side rests, the other stays alert. This allows them to remain aware of danger while still recovering. In the ocean, sleep is never complete. It's cautious, balanced. Even dreams keep one eye open. Chameleons don't change color just to hide. Their colors shift with mood, temperature, and social signals. Bright displays can mean aggression, attraction, or warning. These changes come from microscopic crystals in their skin that reflect light differently as they rearrange. It's physics, not paint. Their skin speaks when words are impossible. Invisible magnetic lines wrap around the earth, and many animals can feel them. Birds, turtles, salmon, insects, even bacteria use the planet's magnetic field to navigate. The mechanism is still partly mysterious, but the result is clear. The Earth whispers directions. Life listens. Life keeps starting over. It adapts, reshapes, and tries again. From boiling vents to frozen ice, from darkness to light, it grows wings, roots, shells, thoughts. And now, as this final thought settles into place, let everything grow quiet. Somewhere, a coral is releasing eggs into the dark. A bird is sleeping in flight. A plant is counting the night. And you are part of it all. Not separate, made of the same patterns. So, let your breath slow. Let the world soften. The story doesn't end. It simply pauses here. Sleep well,